Cutie humans, please allow us direct access to your floodlight for a more direct connection.
Oh my god.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're live!
Hell yeah! We
Hell yeah.
doing the live.
What?
I'm super excited. Oh god, my phone is on the thing. We're gonna turn that off. That was my phone telling me that we were live. Rookie mistake.
Oops.
What is up, people? I guess we'll just kind of just like normal, we'll let people roll in. We really need to get like
Did you post a link?
you know what? That's a great idea.
Oh dear
Thank
God,
you for
Brian.
reminding me.
I was waiting on you to post it.
It's posted, so there. Thank you. See,
Hey, I see it.
teamwork.
Teamwork.
We should really get one of those like those fancy like going live soon things, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
That would be very fancy. And
I would highly recommend it.
But
the return of our robot overlord.
yes, Ian is back this week. Except you can't see. I didn't say his name because his name isn't on the screen yet. You don't know who he is.
Clearly a robot.
I could be anyone, and as to your concerns about your robot overlords, we never went away.
Oh man.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh
Well,
my
as
goodness.
everybody's I guess filing in, I guess we should do introductions. What is up, everybody? My name is Brian. I am the head of the audio department here at KRWBY Productions. I do audio things. I do voice acting things. I've done some righty things. I've done lots of things here on the channel. That's who I am. Hey, Ian, who are you?
Well, since we've already given it away, hi, I'm Ian. I'm the guy who usually does technical stuff around here. I run the back end. I'm an admin for the KRWBY community Discord. And Brian, who the heck are you?
I'm Brian. Hey, Forrest, who are you?
Damn.
Wow, that was rapid fire names. Okay, I am a person that is on this podcast,
Hell yeah.
and I talk about the anime sometimes.
That sounds like some good shit. I like the anime. Do you all also like the anime?
I'm really sorry. What is anime again? Sorry, I'm new here.
Hey, Katie, who are you?
Hi everybody, I'm Katie. I do stuff on the internet. I go by Connie Day online, KANIDAY official on Twitter and whatnot. You can find me at KRWBY. I'm a producer for the channel, and I also have done like writing and voice acting stuff on the channel. I do writing and voice acting stuff at Dr. Crafty. I have another podcast called the Weird Flex But Okay podcast with Jordan Jack's Blade Downs, and I also do voice acting and other abridged stuff too. And like, there's gonna be some announcements in the next week or so about some stuff that I've been doing. That's pretty cool. Yay!
Hell yeah.
Watch my Twitter. Hee hee.
Super excited to see that stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, so welcome everybody. In case y'all in the chat have forgotten, this is a podcast where we talk about anime
What?
because we're all heckin' weebs
What?
and we love that good anime.
What?
But I think it's time to go to our first segment in which we talk about anime, but also maybe not anime, depending on whatever it is. And that first segment is, of course, hey guys, what are you watching? Who would like to go first? Explain what they have been watching.
I nominate Forrest.
Cool.
Damn.
Let's go with
Been
Forrest.
nominated.
Get roasted.
Uh-oh. I'm on the spot now. What am I talking about? Oh, wait. Psychopaths. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's a show. So, Psychopaths is like a really old show. Because, like, I don't know when the first season came out. Like, a long time ago. It was basically the second anime I ever watched. And then there was a second season. And I wanted to watch that, but I didn't. And it was on Crunchyroll. And now it's not on Crunchyroll. But it is on, I think it's on Hulu, and then maybe the third season is on Amazon. It's really confusing. There's also movies. I'm not entirely sure, but there are 3 seasons of it. I'm currently watching the second season.
2012, by the way. That's when Psychopaths came out.
There you go. That seems like forever ago. That was a
In
lifetime.
comparison, yes.
He's 8 years old.
It's been, yeah. So yeah. So it's getting new seasons. As far as I know, it's not finished yet. Although again, haven't seen the third season, but
Haven't seen it.
the second season is going pretty well. It's a very dystopian show. If you don't know anything about Psychopaths, basically, the whole world is run, or not, well, I don't know the whole world, but Japan, anyways, is run by this computer AI thing called the civil system. That's supposed to make everything fair for everybody. It's it's like if we put AI computers in charge of deciding everything, right? So it controls the police, it controls the what job you get, what you do after school, which seems bad probably to most people because obviously the system doesn't work. Surprise, surprise. And there are some flaws inherent to the system, and that's what kind of the show focuses on. But yeah, you follow the new detective on the scene of things, and as she does her detective-y stuff with the guns that only shoot when the computer wants you to shoot them. Right? That's the whole gimmick.
Yep.
Right? Like their guns don't shoot criminals that don't have a high enough psychopaths. Right? They're like criminal coefficient or something like that.
Yeah, you can basically thinking about crime is now a crime.
Basically,
it's the anime.
If you've ever seen that movie Minority Report, it's like that but without psychics. And bathtubs or whatever. Anyways, it's a weird movie. But Psychopaths is like that, but anime. And so obviously they've run into criminals or people doing bad things that the computer doesn't recognize as bad necessarily, and so their guns don't always and they run into all kinds of fun and horrific in many cases shenanigans with that. It is a thought-provoking show.
Yeah.
They do a lot of quoting of like philosophy people and Shakespeare, and it's a very hybrid, they take themselves very seriously.
Yeah. No, Psychopaths is one of my favorites. I have it on Blu-ray. At least the first season.
It's a good one.
It's real good. For anybody who hasn't seen Psychopaths, just know when you're starting the anime, once you get past the internet arc, everything is great.
Yeah, that particular arc was
Once you the internet arc is pretty but once you're past there, it's fine. And then in my opinion, I can't remember exactly, but I want to say there's a development that really kind of changes everything on its head around episode 10 or 11, and that's where the show really starts to get insanely good in my opinion.
Yeah it starts to get in its own head or in your head and start questioning things.
It's a really, really great show, and it's a classic. So if you haven't gone and watched Psychopaths, what are you doing? Go watch Psychopaths. It's fantastic.
You doing?
And now there's more of it.
Yeah, which I still need to watch, so I should take my own advice. But yeah, sweet. All right, so who's gonna go next?
It's your choice.
It's my choice, huh? Well, we can't do Brian last, so Brian.
All right. So, these past few weeks, I've been talking about some very horny anime.
God damn it.
And so today I decided that I would change that up and talk about something completely opposite, talking about something very, very serious.
Something good and Christian.
And so I'm gonna kind of come out of the gate with some heavy shit right now. A little while ago, I watched a show called Plastic Memories.
Oh, is that the one with the robot?
Oh, yeah.
Brian! Oh, man. I remember you reporting back about that.
Plastic Memories is the first anime in a while that fucked me up. Plastic Memories is definitely what you would call a tearjerker show. And usually I'm not very receptive to those. But this show had me on the verge of tears by the end of episode 1. And so when I got to the end of episode 1 and I'm like damn near crying, I'm just like, God damn, what's the end of this show gonna do to me? So, and when it comes to like tearjerker shows, I feel like there's 2 categories of tearjerker shows. There are shows that are bending over backwards to try to get the audience to cry, and then there are shows that are real honest and genuine and have something very deep and serious to say. And I feel and however the audience reacts, they react. And I feel like Plastic Memories is the latter. So the premise behind Plastic Memories is that this is a futuristic world in which androids are a thing. Most of the androids are manufactured by a company called the SAI Corporation or the Psi Corporation. I can't remember exactly how they pronounce it. And they call their androids Giftias. And the thing about these Giftias is that they are fully sentient androids. Basically, they are people. They're that advanced. They are capable of their own free will and thought, with probably a few extra, orders put in there like don't attack humans.
Sounds about right. That
but
tends to end
other
poorly otherwise.
Yeah, but
Sounds
other
like a
than
good
that,
one.
they pretty much have free will, and so it's really amazing, and they sell these out to people who want to buy them to help with their work or just want a companion at home or something. But there is a catch in that these Giftias all have a predetermined lifespan of roughly 9 years and 4 months. They weren't built this way. This is just how the technology works. So that at the end of that time, if they're not deactivated, then their brains are gonna go haywire, and they lose all rational cognitive function and can wind up getting violent and attacking people, and it's pretty horrible.
Gee, where have I seen that premise before?
Kind of like a indirect story about Alzheimer's, maybe.
Sort of, but it's so
I was referencing Halo, but okay.
or rather that could be one interpretation if you wanted
true.
to find different meanings, maybe.
But so it's they call these androids that have gone haywire wanderers, and so the company that manufactures the Giftias has a service that is a mandatory service, in which they send people out to go and retrieve the Giftias at the end of their life before they can turn into wanderers. It's called terminal service. And of course, these Giftias in many cases have become part of people's families and part of people's lives, people's homes, and so it's a very interesting commentary about the meaning of life and end of life and confronting death. And the guys who work at the terminal service have a really tough job because not all of the people who have bought the Giftias are ready to let them go. And so it can be a very unique challenge sometimes trying to, convince them that the time has come and that they really need to let them go now. And there are scenes that you might be able to call cheesy because the Giftias will say things like oh, I had such a wonderful life and whatnot, but it's time for me to go. And while that stuff might sound corny, as somebody who no longer has any grandparents, I've been around to see the end of life for all of my grandparents, and that shit's real. You know, I had some of my grandparents say things like that to me. Uh, so there was definitely, at least because of my own personal experience, there was some very personal stuff, I think, to me, even in the first episode, just kind of seeing how they were handling it and how they were kind of depicting this end of life kind of thing. Um, but all of that is basically just the setting of Plastic Memories. The core story behind Plastic Memories comes from the main character named Tsukasa, and he just arrived at terminal service. He has no idea really what the job is, so most of the first episode is him going around with more experienced people at terminal service, and we are learning alongside him what terminal service is and how this works and what it's about. But each retrieval team is a team of two, one human and one Giftia. And so he gets paired with a Giftia named Isla. And Isla is obviously Isla is the girl there on the poster. And Isla is basically she's very different from most of the other Giftias. All the other Giftias really seem very human, but Isla seems very cold and robotic. And this is by choice for her because Isla is having a hard time reconciling that the moment she was born, there was a date on the calendar that said, "This is the day you die." And so she's having a really hard time understanding what the point of her even being born was, if she got a predetermined day to leave the world. And so she has decided that because of that, it's easier to be cold and aloof and kind of not really engage with people and not make any memories. Because if she doesn't have any memories to lose when it's time for her to go, then it means that it won't hurt as much. It won't be as sad. That's her take on it. And of course, it's revealed very early on. It takes Skasa a little while to figure this out, but it's revealed to the audience very early on that at this point in time, Isla is very close to the end of her life. She's really only got a few months left. And so most of the show is them, Skasa and Isla on the job, and going in and kind of helping these other Giftias with their end of life stuff, and through that kind of learning more about each other. And Skasa is kind of able to help bring Isla out of her shell more and more, and kind of show her that actually, living life for the day you die is not a good idea, and just because there's a predetermined date in which you're going to leave this world doesn't mean that the memories that you carry with you are going to disappear once you're gone. And yeah, it's a very, very deep show with a lot to say. And it fucked me up because the thing is I don't feel like it's a spoiler to say the series was always building to, it's clear pretty much from episode 1 that at the end of the show, Isla was going to die. That's very obvious. It's a show about life and confronting death, so it makes sense that at the end of the series, we're going to have to confront death. But knowing that that's where the show was going, and knowing that it, and knowing that it was coming, it didn't make it hurt any less when it happened. And yeah, I have too many good things to say about this show. I think that this is a show that has some really, it's a very serious drama with some deep subject matter. It's also a romance. And yeah, it's got a lot of serious things to say. and it's all beautifully executed. And I think that this is a show that's going to stick with me for quite a while. And I can't recommend it enough. But I can't recommend it without putting a caveat on it, which is that this is not a feel-good anime. This is not Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, where you can just turn it on and instantly you're going to feel all warm and fuzzy inside. This is a serious drama dealing with some really heavy subject material. So I would really only recommend watching. I recommend watching this anime at some point, but I would only recommend watching it if you're kind of in that place where you just want to feel some raw emotions. Because that's what this anime is going to drag out of you, for sure. And if you don't cry watching this anime, then you're a monster.
Challenge accepted now.
So, yeah. Anyways, that's Plastic Memories. It's really good. Go check it out.
Oh, you sold me.
Is that I will be decommissioned in 9 years and 2 months.
Well, fuck.
Sorry. What did you say, Forrest?
I said you sold me on it.
No, go watch it. It's great. All right, who's next?
Well, it's your pick.
Ian.
Okay. So, guys, I guess we're skipping over Katie for what we are watching because we're going right to the SAO portion, right? Right?
Oh,
No.
Wait, this is not the
How
show
dare
we're
you.
talking about. We're talking about Log Horizon. What the fuck is SAO?
You monster.
Oh my God! Fucking Log Horizon. All right, we're gonna have a discussion
Yes,
about
we are.
this.
Okay.
What is this?
Normally, I am the bloodthirsty advocate for action and, cool fight scenes. But Log Horizon is definitely one that more than earns its keep in more than a few other aspects. So, you know how on SAO where all these kids get transported to a video game? Okay, take that premise, except you take away all the etchiness of you die in that world and you die in real life. You will respawn. It's just a bitch to do. It's not pleasant. It's very, very unpleasant. So what happens now when you are in a world that used to be digital and now is becoming more and more real as time progresses, which is very obvious from the start of the show? How does that impact you, what you do, and the way people conduct their lives? Because there is no organized well, there is organized civilization, but where most people have ended up, there is no law really of the land other than don't stab each other, really, and that's the only one that's particularly enforced.
Yeah.
So what happens in there? Well, people start to create law and order, hijinks ensue.
What happens is that it's basically Civilization, the anime.
It is. It is. It really is. And the way they explain why certain things are happening or what causes these things to happen is just, oh, this used to be a video game mechanic, but it's an actual fucking thing now. Holy shit, we have to pay attention to this. How the fuck did we not know this was going on? And if you look at it, we've got a very interesting protagonist. He is not Kirito, where he says, I will simply have the willpower to accomplish this task. He has to fucking think for a solution, an actual solution, other than, with our powers combined and my sheer anime plot armor, we will win. He's got to actually have a plan.
I was gonna say, like, he does think for for all of his solutions, but his thinking powers are maybe a bit OP.
I mean, they are, but at least he doesn't say I have plot armor, I win.
This is very true. This is very true.
So at least there's his superpower is his brain, but I'd rather take his brain over just I have anime plot armor made manifest. Fight me.
Or don't, because you'll lose, because it's the plot armor.
And along this journey, we will meet a colorful cast of characters. Also, this is the first anime protagonist I've seen who has his own harem but doesn't know it.
I mean, I've met a few harem protagonists.
I guess that's not true, but this is the one who takes it with such grace. He has absolutely no idea. It's truly hilarious how oblivious he is.
My girl Akatsuki deserves so much more screen time.
Fucking
Wait, and
greed.
are you saying that there's an aloof harem protagonist?
What?
Never heard of that.
Impossible.
Yeah. But it is a wonderful adventure that goes into a lot more depth than SAO covers in its entirety of its 3 seasons. And also, it's coming back this October for a 3rd season.
Oh, is it coming
Oh.
back this very next season? I thought it was coming
Yes.
back like.
It's supposed to. We haven't heard the announcement of any delay, so it should be coming back for a 3rd season.
I don't see it on any chart. Interesting. Okay, I'll need to look into that. I think maybe it's been moved to like early 2021. I know it's
mean,
coming soon.
Either way, we're getting a 3rd season. That's all I
Yes.
cared about. After the season seems to have gone dormant after it caught up with the manga.
All right, so this is the discussion portion of this, right?
Yep.
Because I have a different opinion on Log Horizon.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
I know a lot of people really, really love Log Horizon, and I agree that there are a lot of things to love about Log Horizon. But I have an unpopular anime opinion, and that I fucking hate Log Horizon.
Hey, dude,
I
that's
have
valid.
I have like a love. Okay, that's not entirely true. I have like a love-hate relationship with Log Horizon, because on the one hand, I think the way that they handle a lot of stuff is really, really cool. On the other hand, I can't stand their pacing, because
Ugh.
sometimes things that I do not give 2 shits about will take half a season, and I'm like, why? Why did we spend this much time on this?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I understand. There's definitely some material you could be like, I'm just gonna skip to the next episode, and you will have missed nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing of at all consequence will have happened. There are definitely in the first season there are going to be a couple of episodes you can just overwrite skip. Second season there are a few more.
And they're not very good at developing characters that aren't Shiro.
I mean, Blondie gets a pretty good character development moment.
Oh, I suppose that's fair. That's fair. But Akatsuki though.
Akatsuki
Come
gets character
on!
development.
I mean, okay, she gets like a couple
Season 2.
episodes where
Season
she like
2 is
yeah, I mean
has
she
so
gets
much...
a couple episodes in season 2 where her development is basically like, oh, I guess I can do better for Shiro.
I mean,
Like,
that's not necessarily what she says. It's mostly like, I'm useless because he keeps sending me
but
away.
she's not. The only reason she's useless is because they don't write her into the show more.
Well, they're also basing it off the original material.
I mean, yeah, but still.
Yeah, so like her whole thing is, well, Shiro doesn't take me everywhere like I would hope he would. The truth is, he's not. He just trusts her so much that he expects her to be able to accomplish a task, and not necessarily need to guard him with his life all the time.
I guess I would have liked to see more personal development from Akatsuki, rather than just like, I'm a fight better.
I guess that's fair. Well, what about the princess? She gets pretty good character development.
Yeah, I do like the princess. She's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's an anime. There's always a princess somewhere. Get over it. But
yeah,
it is.
I just looked at the art on it. Why is there a cat with a saber?
Oh my god, I forgot about him. I forgot about him. What's his name?
Nyanta.
Nyanta!
Oh my goodness.
Let's not go into that.
Oh, I love Nyanta. So I don't know if any of you guys have seen Log Horizon Abridged. The voice actor that they have for Nyanta in Log Horizon Abridged is like my fucking life. It's so good.
I have yet to see the abridged, but he's basically a fucking meme in Log Horizon anyway.
So, someone for an abridged, they ought to just get like an actual cat to do that. That'd be really fun.
Spoiler alert, it's Don Fluffles.
Don Fluffles. Oh my goodness.
And you know what? That only gets even more interesting considering the other hijinks involved. Considering a certain druid, Brian, I think you recall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like it's weird as far as my, I guess, personal opinion on Log Horizon in that I find Log Horizon infuriating, but at this point I'm invested, so I'm gonna watch season 3. So it's
Yeah.
like
So
it's one of those shows. It's like you're eating like some bad like Cheerios that taste horrible and you're just like crying as you're eating it. You're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I need to finish the bowl. Like, that's me watching Log Horizon.
Oh my god. Finish what you started.
yeah, but it is overall, at least in my opinion, a decent romp, although a bit overextended for 50 episodes. But you rarely
No,
ever get to see a show get 50 episodes. Let's be real.
yeah, I think perhaps one of my issues too was that I was expecting more like action adventure. And I mean, there is some action adventure, but it's mostly just like politics
It
and
is.
like just doing various different things to build their civilization. And so it's kind of like more slice of life, which normally I really like slice of life, but maybe the fact that I was expecting more of that action adventure thing maybe kind of like tainted things for me
Yeah,
because
the
I'm
show
fine
does.
usually with like boring slice of life stuff, but for whatever reason it really bothered me in Long Horizon.
The first time I watched Log Horizon, I agreed. I was like, where is my action, damn it? That's what I watched this show for, right? And then second time around, a couple of years later, it's like, okay, now that I know what I'm getting into, this ain't so bad. This is good.
Yeah, also the opening's a bop.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's a fucking banger. As the saying goes.
Well, hell yeah.
Okay, Katie, you're up.
All right. All right. Everyone, buckle the fuck up, because we
Oh, yeah.
talking, of course, about Dungeons and Dragons, my boys. So, so did you get a picture for the glory
Oh,
that is?
did I?
Did you?
Did I?
Did you?
Did I? Yes, I did.
Yee! So the Unexpectables is my favorite Dungeons and Dragons stream of all time. And oh, I don't see a picture. It's oh there. Oh my, there's my boys. Oh my boys. Oh my baby boys. Oh my goodness. So you guys, you've heard me talk about Critical Role and how it's like a really good drama with a little comedy. You've heard me talk about Sui and D, which is like a romantic like story, but that also like has some pretty good hell adventures. But the Unexpectables, I've been listening since it started, since campaign 1 came out, like or since like episode 1 first popped up on Takahata 101's Twitch when he was like, "Hey guys, we're going to try this crazy thing and we're gonna make a D&D stream with some of your favorite YouTubers like Gaijin Goomba, Senile Snake, who's a voice actor online. We have a few other people. Monty Glue is the DM, and she is a wonderful DM. Oh my goodness, she is like incredible at the way that she tells stories and brings characters and descriptions to life. But what really makes the Unexpectables stand out is not only the amazing personalities of the voice actors and entertainers involved. I mean, as you of course know, Takahata 101 is a very talented actor and performer, and he brings such a wonderful energy. And it also helps that Monty Glue, who is the dungeon master, is his sister. So they actually like in real life, like they're brother and sister, and they are a wonderful like dynamic in the way they go off each other. But what really makes the Unexpectables come to life is the fact that it feels like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign in the 90s. If it was a 90s cartoon, like you can so vividly see all of the gags like animated right in front of you, even though they're not. Like the theater of the mind is so powerful because these personalities are so dynamic and they're so like descriptive, and it's very rooted in meme culture too. So like constantly they're joking and laughing. Like every time I listen to an Unexpectables game, I've walked away just like sitting there alone listening to it, like crying laughing, like because they're so funny and they have such good comedic timing and chemistry because they're all friends. And it's there's also some there's maybe 2 moments in the Unexpectables where I actually cried too, like from emotional impact, because Monty does a wonderful job of creating this story and this world and really putting you in it. And like the fan art and the fan animations that have come from the community that have formed around the Unexpectables are beautiful as well. Like seeing this campaign go from like maybe a few hundred people tuning in every week, like me being one of them, because I knew this was going to be big. And now it's like 2,000 people every Wednesday night are like showing up on the official Unexpectables Twitch on Twitch, because it used to just be hosted on Taka's Twitch, but they got big enough to where they needed their own Twitch for the show. And if you want to go and listen to a backlog of the episodes, if you go to Takahata 101's YouTube, you can go and listen sort of from the beginning. Sort of. I say sort of because the first episode and like the first little arc that ever happened, I don't think they cataloged it, because I've wanted to go back and really re-listen to like the first episode, but I think that all of the files that they saved to upload to like iTunes and stuff start a little bit after they've established themselves as a team, which makes me really sad because I love listening to the origin of a team meeting, like with Critical Role when you in campaign 2 when you get to see how the team forms, like how they meet each other in a bar or a tavern. So I was really sad that they don't have that, but it still has some wonderful like characters and the way that the story like unfolds. Even if you start a little bit in, you can still kind of pick it up. The Fleur de Mort arc is incredible. Oh my gosh, like I've listened to it like twice. And then there's one called like The Dog or like The Pug or something that's really fun too, and it really shows you how fun of a storyteller Monty is. But yeah, follow them on Twitter and stuff. And Edward Bosco is actually an amazing voice actor that you can find him on Twitter. He's actually the voice of Alistair in Has Been Hotel, and he is a regular on The Unexpectables now. He wasn't in the beginning. He was just a guest character that appeared later. They love to do collaborations with other YouTubers. So like Octopimp, for example, who's responsible for 50% off, has a great character named Zenryo that appears at a campaign in one point, or like during a few episodes at one point for an arc. And whenever they bring in a guest, they always ham it up, and it's just like a 90s cartoon, like how excitable the energy can be sometimes. So if you want a really good listen, like you want to really get into a D&D campaign that will just fill you with laughter and also awe when you're like seeing how this world is built, 10 out of 10, The Unexpectables. I've never missed a Wednesday.
Hell yeah.
Stirring praise.
That
Good
sounds
shit.
like a good time. Everybody go check that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is it time?
It's time, Brian. Brian, just do it. Brian, just get it. Brian.
Just
All
get
right.
it over with, please.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Just do it, Brian.
Just out of curiosity for us, did you go back and listen to the other recap? Do you have any idea what's going on?
Nope.
Excellent. This will be even better. All right. It's that time again, my friends. It's time to ask that question. What the hell happened in Sword Art Online this week? And today we ask that question for Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld, Episode 22, Alice. And I know that this may come as a surprise, but this episode has made me somewhat angry. I understand that this is shocking news, as I'm normally a picture of serenity when talking about this show. But I feel it's only fair to let you know now that, try as I might, I don't believe I'll be able to completely conceal my anger pertaining to the ridiculous, nonsensical, unparalleled stupidity that took place in this episode. So without further ado, let's discuss this dumpster fire of an episode that would be considered a complete train wreck even by SAO standards. Let us begin. So Alice is a robot now, and the robot looks just like her. Where did they get this robot? When did robotics technology progress to this point? I thought Niemon was the most advanced robot they had. You know, the robot that Kayaba stole and then swapped its batteries for willpower. And Niemon still looked like a robot and still had some major problems. So how did we get to this in like a week? I hate everything. And you know what this means, don't you? This means waifus are real now. They can be grown in the underworld and be put in robot bodies. Which means that the simping that us weebs do just got a hell of a lot creepier. My god, we're disgusting. Anyways, Wrath decides to go public with Alice, and they hold a press conference in which they announce it to the world. Apparently, this was to get ahead of the Americans somehow. And then people ask Alice a bunch of dumb questions, to which she claps back with some savagery that I was unaware that she had. But I can't blame her, because some of these questions were seriously dumb. One guy legit asks if she and her people are going to take over the world like in the movies. But unfortunately, I can't argue that these aren't the kinds of questions that real reporters ask, because journalism with any kind of integrity is dead. Alice also declares her love for Kirito in front of a worldwide audience, which I think means she's officially joined the harem. Also, Alice is wearing the uniform of the high school that Kirito and the rest of the SAO survivors attend, and we're told that Alice requested this specifically for ceremonial reasons, but we all know she's gonna end up going to the same fucking high school. It's only a matter of time. Meanwhile, back in what I assume to be Wrath's mainland Japanese facility, Mr. Science Man is watching the news, and the news reports that Mr. Government JSDF Man is dead. Except he's not, because he appears with a cool shirt and glasses, which I have a picture of. Can we get that up on the screen? Everybody needs to see this fucking monstrosity that this man was wearing. Do you see this? It's dark! Why are you wearing sunglasses? You're not using sunglasses right! And that shirt, do you think this combination looks cool? Well, it doesn't! You look like a hipster, and it's an affront to my eyes! Just because you're legally dead doesn't give you the right to do whatever you want! Take it off! Okay, you can get rid of it now. I can't stand to look at it anymore. Jesus Christ. So apparently, he faked his death for reasons, because this part was kind of confusing. They said that the person leading the raid team on Ocean Turtle was the Vice Minister of Defense. So he faked his death so that the JSDF wouldn't come after him or something. And somehow going public with the Floodlights means that their enemies will have to give up. I don't know. None of it made any sense. Then they see a response on the monitor for Kirito's Floodlight. And Alice somehow senses this and just leaves the press conference early. Which begs the question, hasn't it been a few weeks? Why haven't Asuna and Kirito woken up? And if so, why were they moved off Ocean Turtle and then put back in other STL units? This doesn't make any sense. But in any case, Alice shows up just in time for Kirito to wake up. And upon waking up, Kirito tells Alice that her sister Selka deep froze herself for 200 years so that she could live to see Alice again, because sure. Now, if you're like me, you're probably sitting there going, Kirito and Asuna just lived for a full 200 years in the underworld. That's a long-ass time. Surely a lot has happened. I would very much like to see at least a montage of what happened in those 200 years. They'll give us at least that, right? I'm dying to know what happened in there. So Kirito finishes talking with Alice. And then he turns to Mr. Science Man. And Kirito has the fucking gall to say this. All right, go ahead and delete the memories of the last 200 years. Are you fucking kidding me? No! You can't just blow past this like it never happened. This is unacceptable. We've been cucked, people. We've been cucked, just like we were cucked back in the Aincrad arc when things ended 20 floors early and KRWBY didn't know why he did any of it. This is repeat cuckery. Reki Aincradded us again. I'm fucking livid. This is so unbelievably unsatisfying. I hate this show. So cut to a few weeks later, I assume, and Kirito is in the hospital recovering. Asuna arrives and brings him flowers because she wasn't bedridden for nearly as long. And Kirito breaks down because he can only remember flashes of right after they were trapped in the underworld. And Asuna tries to comfort him by saying, and I hope to God this was some kind of translation error. Even if our memories are gone, the memories will never vanish. What? you just contradicted. What? Then Mr. Fake Dead Government JSDF man arrives, and he's like, yeah, Wrath is gonna be disbanded, and it's gonna be bad news for the underworld. It'll probably get shut down, so we need as many people to interact with the Floodlights as possible. That way we have enough support to keep the underworld operational. But we need a big satellite so that people can connect via their interwebs. You know, the thing that's usually only used for porn and that sweet, sweet tentacle hentai. Because for whatever reason, we can't use the same satellites as before when the Americans came in. But don't worry, I'm on it. And that tentacle hentai. But mostly the other thing. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, Brian, earlier on you described this episode as a train wreck. And sure, Reki cucked us with the deleting the memories thing. But thus far, this doesn't sound like a super crazy bad episode of SAO. I know. That's because we haven't gotten there yet. This is where things get bad. You see, Mr. Science Man couldn't bring himself to delete Kirito's memories. So instead, he made a copy of them. And then deleted the memories from organic Kirito's brain. Now, earlier on, it was established that direct copies couldn't survive because they couldn't stand the thought of being a copy. But not Kirito! He can withstand it just fine for no other reason than he's Kirito, because Mr. Science Man boots him up, and there are no problems. Kirito then explains that he and Asuna had a contingency in case he or Asuna were copied. If they were both copied, they'd work together to protect the underworld. If only Kirito was copied, he'd work alone to protect the underworld. And if only Asuna was copied, she'd kill herself. What the fuck kind of plan is that? Why can't even the notion of Asuna working independently from Kirito be entertained, Reki? She's her own woman. She doesn't need Kirito to live. She could carry on his legacy. Why does she have to die? It's fucking bullshit is what it is, but it gets worse. You see, Kirito wants to help protect the underworld and connect the real world with the virtual world. And he has a plan. But his plan includes working together with Kayaba Akihiko. So just in case there's no confusion here, the plot direction of Sword Art Online has somehow come to a place where internet ghost / willpower powered robot Kayaba is going to team up with 200-year-old copy and paste Kirito to save the underworld and finally merge the virtual and real worlds as one. What? What? How did we get here? Did anyone else see this coming? Because I sure as hell didn't. For once, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what to say about this. What the fuck happened to this show? This development makes the writing in Alfheim seem genius. What the actual fuck? So after that catastrophe, Kirito comes home, remembers Yujiro and cries, and then Sugaha shows up to comfort him, and she asks him to tell her all about what happened in the underworld, and it's actually legit sweet because she's being a really good sister. And then Alice is at a party, and she looks sad, and she says that she feels like she might wither away, and then the next morning while sleeping, Kirito gets a call from Ringo, and that's what the hell happened in Sword Art Online this week. I don't know what to make of it either. My God.
I
was a
have
lot.
one point for you. Do you
Oh?
know why they had to delete the memories of the 200 years?
Yeah, it's because the fucking... Apparently the human brain can only handle, like, 200 years of memory. That's, like, the storage capacity. It's fucking
No, it's
ridiculous.
because they didn't want to write anything in for those 200 years. That's the only reason.
No, duh. But also,
Like-
they tried to make a bullshit reason as to why they couldn't. They could have skipped like they could have skipped so many steps. They could have just jumped. Why'd they have to make them in there for 200 years if they just want to delete it? What was even the point? Like, what?
Yeah.
So that when they
Why?
come back, time passes and everything's changed.
But they didn't even show that anything could change, like, because they're deleting any progress of anything that they could have
they're
experienced
just
different.
they're literally the exact same people from
Yeah.
the moment like the Flecklight acceleration happened.
Because 200 years didn't pass in the real world; it passed in the game, and they're deleting whatever changes could have happened to them. Like,
I think they're talking about like the other people who have been living at the underworld by the time they come back.
God.
I mean, but all of those people are dead. Because 200 years has
yeah, that's
passed.
fair. They're probably dead.
Yeah. Also,
The only thing that's going to be really changed is the landmass, and do we really care about the landmass?
I just hope we don't find that Yui has gotten some brothers and sisters in between when they started the 200 years and the end.
Oh my
Because
god.
that would be kind of fucked up if you said, I don't want to remember my kids anymore. Okay, thanks, bye.
Oh my god. Are we going to see an adult Yui? Because Yui's an AI. Like, well, actually, no. She's probably stuck in that little body forever. Never mind.
I mean, she could probably change her form to however she likes.
You know, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, she's been a normal-sized kid before, so she could get, like, a kid robot body, I guess.
Damn.
Wait,
Also,
so
that begs the question, why doesn't she have one?
Because Kirito has been working on a camera to mount on the shoulder for her. Because
And I guess
he's
he
not
doesn't have...
good enough with mechatronics to build a full-blown robot.
I guess.
Yeah, like, how did they make that robot? Like, how did that even happen? Yeah, I mean, you said it
like
so
a week
perfectly.
passed.
Yeah.
When did they get the robot that looks exactly like Alice?
Maybe they just started, like, the 3D printer got started as soon as they figured out what she looked like. It's like, get started on this. Come on, chop, chop. It's got to look like her by the time we put her in it.
I just
so they had 200 years. Does that mean like they could go back and meet like their great adult grandkids?
Well, they probably didn't have kids if they wanted to delete the 200 years of memory, because that would be pretty fucked up if they were just like, I'm just going to delete my memory of these
I mean,
kids. Like,
They
Yeah.
would
Maybe
just
they didn't
kind
know
of
they were gonna
die
delete
if
them.
they didn't, though.
I mean, I don't know if you can. I mean, that would be a whole other conversation, but I don't know if you can get pregnant in that world like quite the same way.
no,
maybe.
no,
I
you
don't...
can. You can. That's
Really?
the way.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because it's like a whole other world.
Do they have condoms in that world? Because
No.
No.
oh my god!
I mean, but you also need to remember that like Kirito and Asuna now basically have access to like the entire like command list for the sacred arts. So they could there's probably some command for like unpregnant me.
There's a condom spell, is what you're saying?
Holy heck! That's
Nullify my semen.
Well, I mean, as we know from chapter, what was it, 16.5, the vaginal fluid dynamics were very important to KRWBY.
Oh my god.
And everyone should go listen to Something Witty Entertainment's read of chapter 16.5. I've listened to it too many times because it is too beautiful, and I recommend it too much. A scarily amount, I recommend it.
It's wonderful. So, all right. Well, I think it's time to talk about ReZero.
Oh god,
Oh
thank
shoot,
god.
again?
Thank goodness.
How could you?
You mean a show where plot points actually make sense?
Oh,
Kind of.
by the way, just I guess a little heads up. Next week is going to be the last time I do one of these things for SAO.
Gasp!
Until the next season.
Maybe. We'll see if I want to keep doing this.
Oh god.
But yeah, we've got next week is going to be the last week of SAO, so look forward to that. But all right, ReZero time.
Yay!
This was an episode, man. Some cool
Every
stuff
episode
happened.
has been quite the episode.
Holy
Yeah, they just keep knocking it out of the park.
This wasn't even. I don't think they did the intro even. They were just like, "No, we don't have time for that. We got too much."
Well, that's been like most of the season, to be honest. They've done the intro
Yeah.
like 3 times.
Yeah, they're like,
It's-
we have too much fucking shit to do. Here, let's just get it started. We'll play the credits over the thing.
yeah.
So, the episode opens with Subaru and Garfield being chased by
Spoilers.
Satella.
Many spoilers.
Oh yeah, spoilers. Yeah.
Big
For the new
fucking
episode.
spoilers.
All the spoilers.
Yeah.
You are not caught up. Fucking leave. And then
Yup.
come back in post.
So, episode opens with Subaru and Garfield being chased by Satella. And yeah, like pretty much Subaru learns that everybody's already dead. Omae wa mo shinderu. And a bunch of like Ryuzu clones show up, and then we learn that they're apparently just empty on the inside.
Blow up.
Yeah. Then they try to fight, and the clones are like suicide bombers.
Well,
That's explained later, but
Wait a
yes,
minute.
they are just like pig-haired suicide bombs.
Yeah, they do. I think later they explain that they're like made of mana or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're like
So-
pure mana.
Basically, that's why they can blow up in a big magical cloud.
Yeah.
Not that it does anything.
No, I mean the Witch of Envy is pretty strong. She ate all the other witches.
Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck about
Mhm.
those.
Yeah.
Or even
Um,
even Garfield, it turns out.
Yeah, like remember how scary Garfield was, and you, like look at how quick work like Satella makes of him. Just like no hesitation.
Yeah, she makes him her bitch, pretty much.
Yeah. So, and then Subaru says the thing that he should not have said. He says that he would have an easier time loving any of the other witches than her.
Yeah,
He
that's
names
not
one.
smart.
Yep. He says he specifically names Echidna.
Ugh.
But then she swallows him in her shadow, and this is where some stuff got interesting, because he describes being enveloped in her shadow as being enveloped in her love.
Yeah.
Which is somehow terrifying. And
it's not a good kind of love.
no, it's like
it's
the
like a-
really like abusive kind of love.
Demanding love.
Yeah.
It's very possessive. Like the
Yeah.
whole. Was it last episode that was just called "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you" or something?
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah. But
love,
then,
love
but
you.
but then there was a transition. Instead of like "I love you" to "love me," "love me."
Yeah.
Did we talk about that on the last episode?
No, because that happened in this episode.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
That was a very like
that swap
terrifying
from
translation.
Also,
that swap from aishiteru to aishite.
Aishite.
Yeah.
It
Also-
was so creepy.
Also, Subaru should know fucking better, because that is the only way he keeps coming back from the dead. Is it is her delusion that he cannot die, or
Mhm.
that if he does die, it will go back to a certain point within reason. He should not fuck with that right now.
We have established that Subaru doesn't always think in the moment very well.
Yeah.
Just
Like
it.
he tends to
I mean-
act before thinking.
Yeah,
I know.
he's literally like, hey, don't touch the witch because bad things might happen. Psh, I'ma touch the witch. Oh god, why am I in pieces? Like,
Yeah, like
His
That's-
curiosity.
It's
Yeah.
just the Subaru. You can't help Amelia if you piss her off, and she
Mhm.
comes out of her delusion.
yeah.
And
So-
he points out that like is this his life now? Does he just live in a constant nightmare flashback with the witch whispering sweet nothings in his ear for
Yeah, that
eternity?
seemed to be that seemed to be what it was kind of implying. But it's implied that there's like a connection with Petra's handkerchief because it seems that this is probably Echidna's doing. But the handkerchief basically like turns into a dagger thing, and so
Kind of sharp.
yeah, and so he's able to kill himself from within the shadow, which heavily implies that Echidna knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, she prepared this just in case, especially
Yeah.
because I think he was kind of torn from the tea party at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like, oh, well, I've kind of pissed her off, and no telling what she might do to you. I may as well give you, hopefully, an escape.
Right. So, uh, yeah. And then as he's dying, he pulls like her hood off, and it is of course revealed that Satella has pretty much exactly the same face as Amelia, which
Which
to
we kind
me
of guessed last time.
heavily implies that Satella basically used Amelia's body
I
and like possessed her somehow.
I might have a theory about that at the end, interestingly enough.
Okay. Um, but yeah. So that was. But Subaru declares that he's going to save her, and then he dies, and he returns, and I thought that this moment was really really interesting when he returns, because when he returns, um, you know, this entire time he's like been like, I don't understand this racism towards Amelia. I don't understand, like, how can people like hold this against Amelia, like just because of the way she was born, just because of the way she looks. But after having this experience with Satella, he's scared of Amelia. Like
shaking, like
yeah, he's like
Yeah.
he's now finally for himself like drawing that parallel and drawing that connection between her and the Witch of Envy, and he now understands just how terrifying the Witch of Envy really is.
Yeah, they only I was actually it was actually interesting because they only focused on that, that little bit of fear for kind of a moment there. They didn't really bring back up like his super visceral reaction like later when, he sees her in the forest. He seems a little more comfortable again, because that would have been interesting if they would have really continued to build on that, like, oh, I can't even look at you. But he seems to be able to calm down a little bit from that initial
Yeah.
reaction.
Well, it's interesting because like he's scared initially,
Yes.
but I like there's this wonderful moment where like he shakes his head and then he continues to reach out to Amelia and like
Yes.
pick her
He
up and make
fights it
sure that
off.
she's okay. Like he fights it off. He's like, he's like, no, 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 no. This is Amelia. Like this just because she looks like the witch. I'm not gonna be like those other people. I'm not gonna discriminate against her, even though, yeah, right now I'm scared.
Yeah.
Because I'm drawing these connections now. So I think that speaks a lot to the kind of person that Subaru is, in that he's able to recognize that his fear is in that moment, it's unfounded. And to fight off that racism, I guess.
Yeah, because this is the Amelia that he knows and that he loves, and it's not like as simple as something as simple as like a fear of a small resemblance can't break that bond that they share, versus like usual ignorance or bigotry, like, or from people that haven't, that they're just kind of a baseline there because they just see what's on the surface.
Yeah. Now the next thing that happens is really interesting because he every single time, he's been the one who's been there to comfort Amelia, but he's just gone through this horrible experience with Satella. And he's trying to be there and be strong for her, but he just winds up breaking down. And I think it also speaks volumes to Amelia's character. Now, in fairness, it's also been established in canon that sometimes things don't reset exactly the same way. Sometimes there are small differences, and we still don't know exactly why that is. But in this particular instance, Amelia wakes up, and we see that she's initially like still in that scared, horrified state. But the moment that she sees the way Subaru is, she's immediately drops that and puts all the focus on him and is trying to make
Mhm.
sure that he's okay. Even
Mhm.
though, I'm sorry, I don't think Amelia's okay.
She is
Yeah.
not okay.
Like, and
I
I
guess.
think that
Yeah. Oh,
I,
sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, like I said, I think that yeah, there are those minor differences, but between like some of the start points as has been established before,
Mhm.
but I also feel like this speaks volumes to Amelia's character in that like
Yes.
even when she's scared, the moment she sees somebody else who needs her, she's immediately like, no, fuck me, it's about this person right now.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to say that what that moment really represented to me, it's like in the small details in ReZero when it comes to their character building. You know that quote from Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's like sometimes the best way to fix your problem or to fix your own problems is to help someone else. Like
Mhm.
Subaru and Amelia's relationship has definitely had many examples of that, where Amelia has been there to comfort Subaru during a breakdown, or Subaru, despite everything he's going through, the minute he sees Amelia like distraught, he like puts on the brave face and is like trying to hold her hand or trying to hug her. And so this was a moment where we got to see Amelia kind of do a little switcheroo there, where Subaru starts out in that panicked mode like Amelia has been every single time she wakes up screaming, it's not me, it's not me. And this time he's there. And so her kind of taking comfort in the fact that from her eyes and her interpretation there, he's breaking down because he feels like he he can't help her with the trial and like this and that, and she's like, oh wow, you're really that worried about me and you really feel that, like, let me be a protector. Versus in all the other times he woke up, he was suggesting, oh, I'll do the trial for you or this or that, and she's like, do you not have faith in me? But him breaking down there showed that maybe through her eyes that he does believe in her, but he wants to be useful, and maybe she in that moment felt powerful and wanted to give that to him. If that makes any sense, like it kind of shifted the dynamic there. It was kind of a little beautiful parallel there, because he's always woken up, at least to her, so confidently, even though he's
Yeah.
been going through shit. And so for once, his breakdown actually had a double meaning. Like, and it represented to her that she could be strong for him because she wants someone to take care of. Like, it was a really good moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think you nailed it. I think that's because like they are each other's strength in that sense, right?
Yeah.
When she's hurting, despite what Subaru's been through, all of the he says it at the end of the episode. Spoilers, like he
Mhm.
says he's telling Garfield, right? Like
Mhm.
he's seen he's seen the dark side a lot of
He's seen
times.
hell.
He's seen some
Yeah.
I've
stuff,
seen hell.
Yup.
Yeah,
right?
I know
And
hell.
and
I know hell.
so that yeah, that was a brilliant line. Like
Yeah,
honestly,
also the name of the episode.
yes, like, that's one of those mic drop. Not to drop any
Yeah.
mics in your vicinity, Brian, but I know how you feel about this. But yeah, like that was a great line. But yeah, like in this instance, the shoes on the other foot, right? He's usually putting aside the horrors he's seen to comfort her. Now she's finding strength in comforting him, and she can turn, and it's just that turn on a dime of like she wakes up, she's frightened. We know she's frightened because this is how she wakes up every single time, right? The fact that she can see him suffering and go, okay, you know what? I've got my own stuff to deal with, but right now he needs me.
Mhm.
Like, and she finds strength in comforting him. I think that's it's such a great.
It's a beautiful moment, right?
Yeah,
This episode
Yeah.
was full of beautiful moments, and it does such a good job, as we'll illustrate going through it, of giving us a title that can terrify us and fucking blowing our expectations out of the water.
Yeah. Like God, and then like when they come out, I I really really love like how they're pushing Subaru's vulnerability forward. They've done this multiple times throughout the show. Uh, and I mean, ReZero is definitely not the first show to do this, but definitely feel like it's the first show that I've seen from an anime, anyways, to do it to this extent. Where there is definitely, I mean, especially in Japan, gender roles are much more reinforced And so, if you're a man, you're supposed to be the tough, strong guy who's, always going to be the rock and whatnot. And not just not just showing that Subaru has the ability to be vulnerable, but also kind of depicting some of that shame whenever he's like in that vulnerable place. And and this episode in particular where like Subaru's like, yeah, I'd really rather you didn't see that side of me. And Emilia's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not going to hate you just because you showed me a moment of weakness.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's okay
It's
to
a great
have
line.
moments of weakness.
Yeah, as you've demonstrated several times, like that first moment when he cried in Amelia's lap, or when he was crying over Rem and she put her arms around him, like they're fucking people. They're treating each other like fucking people. It's beautiful.
Yeah, she's like, fuck. I mean, it's different, obviously, because it's a fantasy world. But I very much like, I guess, the other connotation of it, which is like, fuck that toxic masculinity bullshit. You're a person and you have feelings.
Hell fucking yeah, bitch. That's what it be though. ReZero, fucking toppling patriarchy.
I mean, it's about damn time.
I mean, I joke, but like for real though.
No, for real. Patriarchy
Like,
is
this show,
insane.
But like
the
low
show
key
does
though,
a lot.
ReZero is phenomenal.
It does a lot. Like it falls into a lot of the same tropes of like gender roles and toxic masculinity that we see in just about everything. But it also does a lot to subvert them and to sort of point out, hey, this doesn't that makes sense. What are you doing? Right? Like and that's So as much as the moments where it really just like like it's there's some cringier moments, particularly that one in the first season where he's like, you don't know what I've done for you, like that whole the super cringe moment, right?
Yeah,
but it's there for a reason.
Yeah,
right? We need those moments to be there so
that
that
we
they can be
build and be better.
subverted. Right?
Yeah. Like that moment is 100% designed to make you cringe, because I don't know about you guys, but like that moment in particular was like, that was just like hitting too close to home, where it's like, oh man, I've been that asshole. I don't want to remember that I was that asshole.
Yeah.
Like, which is why it's so cringe, because you see you in it.
Oof. But man, moving forward with the episode though, like I really liked that little moment where he calls her a fairy and she's like, how dare you?
Very evil
so there's
spirits,
a couple
right?
there's a couple things that we need to talk about before then though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good scene.
Yeah. So Subaru, after he comes out with Emilia, he's really surprised to see that Garfield still seems to be neutral. The trial didn't completely break Emilia's spirit this time. This is the best starting point he's had thus far. But when Subaru was inside the shadow, he merged with a bunch of people's memories for everybody else who was swallowed up. And he uses those memories to find the witch's temple thing. And he uses the stone that Frederica gave him to open a door that reveals a Ryuzu in stasis. Then another Ryuzu shows up, the one in the black robe. And apparently the multiple Ryuzus are the forest's eyes. So we have our answer on that. From a couple episodes back where Garfield was like, the forest has eyes.
Right. Well, and we get an explanation for like why all of like the elf-looking people, they all look the same. Well, it's because they're all basically clones.
Yep. And
but
so
some of them, they're not equal clones, right? Like the ones in white robes are established. These are the empty ones that blew up at the beginning of the episode that are kind of like, I don't want to say disposable, but basically they're shells, right? Is how they're described, I think. Whereas black robe Ryuzu is not.
Yeah. So Ryuzu refers to Subaru as the apostle of greed, and says that there is a contract that binds him and all the copies of Ryuzu Mayor. And then we get a deep explanation about the graveyard. The graveyard was created by Echidna, and all of the Ryuzus were an experiment for Echidna to try to gain immortality. It failed, and eventually Echidna died, but the Ryuzu copies kept being produced. And all the Ryuzus are pretty much, as we said earlier, pure mana. And it's their job to look after the sanctuary. However, they are commanded by apostles of greed. Subaru became one when he drank Echidna's tea, and apparently Garfield is another one. But Subaru
Yeah.
doesn't want Garfield to know that he's an apostle of greed yet.
Yeah. Well, see, Garfield's that interesting character that's just like on a dime. He goes from like loyal to you and will fight till the death for you, or will just straight up murder you and everyone you know.
Yep.
Like he has no in between.
It seems up until this point that Garfield has been the win condition. Like, him not screwing Subaru over seems to have been the key to him surviving long enough to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
You get on his bad side, you're dead. But if
Now,
you get him as an ally,
I have a theory to point out here. In that we have a bunch of murderous ass bunnies.
Yeah.
That are
Dude.
all attracted to mana.
we
And
just found a big source of mana, didn't we?
We sure did.
Oh wow, that's
also
a
explodes
good theory.
conveniently.
Just blow them all up. Destroy them all.
I feel like, why has no one thought of that earlier? That seems like,
Well,
wait. We have a
nobody
bunch of
knows that the
disposable
demon
elf-
bunnies are coming.
Yeah,
for the most
Subaru's
part.
the only one that knows that.
Yeah,
they
it's
can't
true, and they
leave.
don't know,
I suppose.
and they don't know what could lure them. They didn't have all the context that we now
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
That's true. They didn't have the witch to explain that they're attracted
Yeah,
to
because they couldn't
mana,
really
so.
do very formal research on them, considering if you're within proximity, you gonna get eaten.
You're dead.
Yeah.
You can't really research that.
Only Subaru can.
Yeah.
So after their conversation, Subaru asks Ryuzu why she goes by the last name Bilma. And she explains that it's for individuality, but to ask the same question again after tomorrow.
I think that the answer will change.
Yeah, perhaps. So, and then that's where Subaru has his late night chat with Amelia.
I do want to touch on, so like this whole witches experiment thing, right?
Right.
Like the sanctuary, the graveyard, the copies of the elf girl, all of these are part of Echidna's experiments to live forever. She talks about when she's introducing the witches,
Right.
She speaks of herself as wanting to attain all the knowledge in the world, even going so far as to experiment with death, right? Which is kind of probably what this is alluding to. So Ryuzu says basically that like she was trying to put her own consciousness in this elf woman who's frozen in crystal, right? The original Ryuzu, and that all of these copies are trying to like propagate herself, but it didn't actually work, right? Ryuzu says that it failed, and the witch's consciousness did not, like, she isn't Echidna, right? She is her own sort of copy with their own sentience and that kind of thing. Like the witch's soul did not transfer to Ryuzu in the way that she had thought. So whose soul is being copied then is my question. Right? Is it the original Ryuzu? Is it like a new soul that is sort of a blank template that takes on its own personality when a new one is created? Is it sort of a mix of that? Is there some part of Echidna soul that did get transferred? Right? Does she have like some sort of memory of Echidna or some sort of features of Echidna? Like we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know how successful the experiment was, basically.
It could also be that's how Echidna died.
Well, no, because I remember.
Oh yeah, doesn't she die too?
Yeah,
she got eaten.
Yeah, she was eaten by.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
So it doesn't kill her. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, it does beg the question: is this a project that she began after she was already dead and in this sort of spirit world kind of thing, or is this something she set up? Maybe she saw, the Witch of Envy's eventual consumption of her coming.
Ryuzu does say that she started the experiment to try to gain immortality, but then she died. So
Okay.
it does seem to be implied that she started this experiment before she was eaten by the Witch of Envy.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to the scene with Emilia and Subaru in the forest.
Yes.
And I am going to let you guys handle this because I really need to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
So you guys go talk about that.
Well, yeah, that was a real cute scene because there was that part where Subaru was like, "You look like a fairy," and Amelia was like, "Hey, now, how
Rude.
could you?
Don't go calling me an evil spirit. What?
How?" And then I really like because this was just a fun, silly moment because how Subaru was just kind of like, "Oh man, maybe that's just like a mistranslation from my world to your world," like, or something like that. Like him commenting on that. It was just very adorable and realistic dialogue that I thought was very fun.
It's nice
Yeah.
to have something going on that isn't like exceptionally crucial to the plot. Like fairies are,
Yeah,
they might become like a thing later, but this is just like
maybe.
a small side piece of conversation to like, oh hey, cultural differences or perhaps
Yeah,
world differences,
yeah.
that would
It was a fun
make a
character
different
moment.
implication. Yeah, it's very
Hmm.
nice.
I
It's
really enjoyed
it's
that.
nice to have, yeah, because like the first season was kind of light on plot, right? Like we were really just kind of spoon fed plot details. This season has been very much like, okay, here's a new plot thing, here's a new development, here's a new oh, this is now a
Hmm.
thing. Like
So you're really like thirsty
it's been
for it when you get those tiny moments.
yeah, this is like the opposite of last season where it's just like, actually the character, like the fun, silly, lighter moments that aren't really relevant to the overarching plot are actually kind of a relief at this point from all
Hmm.
of like mind twisty trying to figure out, oh god, what's happening now? Now Amelia's the witch. She's the big shadow lake. What is going on?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what else they talk about in this scene before we get to the like before we get to the other stuff.
I think. Hmm. What else does she say? There's one like kind of thing. This is a thing that keeps happening. This is like not the main point of the conversation either, but there's this thing that keeps happening where like Amelia will say something and Subaru says like, "Who says that anymore? Like, what are you
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
Cause
what are you, a
she,
'90s kid? Was it cassette tapes we're talking about now? Like,
yeah.
and I don't know if that's just like a cultural difference thing or if there's maybe, given how like intentional so much of the dialogue in the show is, if that's
Hmm.
like kind of hinting at maybe Amelia is older than she lets on.
Maybe,
Maybe she is
yeah.
from the past.
Oh,
there's a bit that's discussed in Frozen Bond that I'm not gonna go into, but
yeah.
it seems to imply certain things that explain why she talks a certain way.
Mm,
Yes. Yeah, I did
I
watch
really
Frozen
need.
Bond, and I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, I this weekend I gotta sit down and like actually watch that because
Yeah, Frozen
It's
Bond is
not
actually
bad
really
for
good.
what, like an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a short film.
no, I
Hmm.
keep saying I'm gonna do it. I'm like I
You
gotta
should
watch
just
that. But
do it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what plot stuff happens in this moment because I believe what happens next after this short little forest scene is that we get back to the castle.
yeah, well
Do
so I think so she Amelia is like lamenting Puck not being around, right? She has
Yes.
this very vulnerable moment where she's like, I really just I want Puck. Where
Mm-hmm.
is he? And it's just like because she's kind of a mage, but she's a mage that relies on her spirit animal critter
Mm-hmm.
thing to do a lot of her magic, and so like she's really a lot less powerful without him,
Mm-hmm.
and she
yeah.
knows it, and so she's like revealing this is not normally she keeps a pretty like uh not stern but a pretty like blank facade on a lot of the times. Like she doesn't
Yeah.
really show what her like emotional state is a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good moment, I think, of her like opening up to Subaru after they just had this moment where he was crying and everything. So this is like kind of an exchange of vulnerabilities. And
Mm-hmm.
then he gives her the pep talk, and he's like, you know what? You're a cool person. I'm on your side.
Yeah.
She's like, thanks. I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
It's
Like I'm trying to
especially
remember.
deep
Mhm.
for Amelia because Amelia calls him dad for once. I believe she just
Does
either she says
she?
dad or she's referring to Puck. I believe she does that. I might
Yeah, she does refer to Puck as dad, but like, yeah, if you're saying she referred to like Subaru as dad, I was like, wait,
no
oh
no
Wait a
Puck.
minute.
No Puck. Either she was
Yeah, I had
talking
to think about
directly
that for a
about
second.
father or
Subaru
she
is
was talking
confirmed
about Puck.
daddy.
But no, that would be weird. That would
Oh
be
my god, imagine the timeline where he wakes up and she's like, hi, daddy.
and he'd be like, shit.
Man, I'm gonna have to kill myself on the spot.
Mm-hmm. This
Can't
ain't
have
right.
that. Cannot have that one bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely the darkest timeline, or at least in Subaru's eyes, that is the darkest timeline.
Oh my god. But yeah, because I remember a little bit about what happens in the castle, but this scene I'm actually drawing a bit of a blank on,
I don't
like,
even think
except
we
for
get to
the
the
cute
castle.
little.
I think it ends with Garfield, um, and them having their conversation about Garfield saying that you've never seen hell, and Super saying, I've seen hell.
No! Oh my god, you're right. I'm imagining the other part. Yeah, you're right. He's
Mm-hmm.
by the tree and Garfield stops him and then they have that you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. Oh
Yeah.
my
I'm
god, my
fairly
brain just completely 180'd.
yeah, because his motivation has developed a lot from I just want to support Amelia because she's basically a 3D waifu to oh I actually really like her because she doesn't change no matter how many times I die to oh I'm actually in love with this girl to I never want her to see hell because I've seen it before and I never want anyone else to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have returned.
Hello.
Excellent.
So we're
Excellent.
trying to remember what even happened in the forest scene with the fairy comment and
Oh,
that whole
okay.
bit.
Well, the most so I'd say the single most important thing that happened in the forest scene is like plot wise is that Subaru goes out of his way to encourage Amelia rather than like the previous times where he's been like, "Oh, let me do the trial in your place." He tells her, "I have complete faith in you. I know you can do this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I might not be able to help you a whole lot this time around, but I know that that's okay because I know you've got this."
Yeah.
Um, and uh, we'll see what comes of that. But I think that that's really, really important because I think for as far as Subaru's character, the lesson that he has been dying over and over to learn uh, is to put that faith in Amelia,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't just solve everything yourself, right? Like you focus on what you can do, but and you can do a lot, but there are also some things that only Amelia can do, or that
Mm-hmm.
only Amelia should do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you need to leave that to her. And so to learn that, I think was really really important, and acknowledge that, and for as much supporting as Emilia has done for Subaru, it's really nice to kind of see that turned around because I feel like this is almost a parallel to another conversation. I can't remember when, but I feel like Amelia has had conversations with Subaru where, you know what? It might have been the fucking lap scene in season 1
Oh yeah.
where she says, I don't know how much there is to help you, so this is all I can do,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I can lend you my lap. And so I feel like in many ways this was a parallel to that where Subaru's like, yeah, like I don't know how much there is that I can do for you, but I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. And then
So,
our boy Garf.
yeah. So that happens, and then Subaru leaves a note for Amelia, heads to the mansion to try to figure out how to stop Elsa, but Garfield cuts him off.
He leaves a note for everybody. I think. Like I think that scene is kind of an it's not like super important, but I think it's an interesting development because he keeps dying over and over, right? And he knows. He's pretty much been assured that he can die as many times as he wants. That's what Echidna told him, probably. Right. And he's talking about this whole episode. He's talking about tests, right? He's like, I'm gonna try and figure this out, and if it doesn't work, like that's okay. I'll reset. It'll be awful, but I'll keep doing it, and I'll do as many tests as I need to. I will figure out as much information as I can each time and try to piece this all together, and eventually I will figure it out, right?
And the fact that
But
Garf is shaken by Subaru's resolve. Oh, sorry, you weren't done there.
yeah, well, it's just like the last point. So like he could just like take kind of a callous approach to that and say, all right, well, everything is the test. I don't really care. I don't really need to like act the part, right? Because
Right. I don't
this
need to
world
leave
isn't
a
gonna
note.
last.
I don't need to leave a note behind because I'm not gonna, survive this life. Yeah.
Well, because this universe, this entire, going multiple worlds there a little bit, like this entire universe will cease existing to me when I reset, right?
Yeah.
None of these people are real. None of this matters. At the same time, though, he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna leave a note anyways.
Yeah.
Because I feel, even if all of these people, all of the, this entire world disappears, I'm still gonna treat it like it's the only one I've got.
Right.
Yeah, man, that's a beautiful way to phrase that. I really like that.
So so he leaves a note, but yeah, Garfield cuts him off. Garfield confronts him about his smell, but Subaru is just like, "Yo, Garfield, you're gonna need to trust me, and I know you're hiding something, and I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna figure it out right now. Like I'm gonna figure it out, but I might not. It might take some time, but I'm gonna do it." And then they have this heated discussion, and then I think it's really Subaru's resolve that kind of like makes Garfield like take a step back, because Subaru declares to Garfield the name of the episode, "I know hell." And he follows it up by saying, "And I'm the only one who needs to know hell."
Yeah.
See, because Garfield's got this whole like macho complex kind of. Yeah, he's a tough boy, right? He's gotta be real tough all the time, and there's a big like scar on his face. So we haven't really gotten the backstory on him yet, but something bad probably happened at some point in his life. Little face scar. There's something bad. So he's like, no. I've like been through some stuff. You don't even know, man. Who are you to tell me what hardship is? And Subaru just gets this hard look in his eye, and he says, "Oh no, I've been there too."
I think what's so important about the way that's delivered and showcased as well is that Subaru is not defensive. He's grown beyond the kind of reaction that Garf is probably used to, that just kind of comes from this beta, like, well, no, no, like full alpha mode there. Like Subaru is just in full Chad gear. He is chatted up. He is just like he's not taking shit, he's not giving shit, he's just like, no, I'm stating a fact, and Garfield can sense that. Like the way Subaru's confidence, the way he's just radiating truth in that moment of like and empathy and understanding and just stating facts, like Garfield can sense the shift in aura there, because Subaru's not getting defensive about the fact that he's seen hell, because he doesn't have to. He is resolved. He understands. He knows, and he is like a parent speaking to a child humbly. He is like, maybe that's not the perfect way to say it, but he is humbled past the point of a reactionary response, and he just tells Garfield the truth in that moment and tries to connect with him as a human being. And Garfield is so taken aback by that, because he's probably used to, with the way that he interacts with the world, the way that he interacts with people, he's very childlike in a lot of ways. And so to see someone kind of speak to him in that way, especially someone that he could rip them in half, he could rip Subaru in half, no problem, and he's still that resolved and unafraid in the face, like of what Garfield's saying, like really, really shakes Garfield. And I really loved that moment, like they didn't turn it into something petty. They turned it into a real bonding moment where Garfield responds to authority, and Subaru showcased that authority there. Chad mode.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the way I would phrase it, but yeah, like the shock on Garfield's face, right, is like, dude, I had no idea. I didn't like he radiates truth. I think that's definitely the way I'd put it. Like
Mm-hmm.
no nonsense. I'm just telling you. I've seen some dark stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone else to have to see that. And it's just so matter of factly stated.
Mm-hmm.
Garf was like, oh, I didn't know.
Well, shit. Well, damn.
Like,
Maybe I shouldn't have
honestly, I think
assumed. Maybe I'm the asshole. Like Garfield's that dude that posts on "Am I the asshole?"
Yeah.
on
He's
Reddit.
finally figured it out. That's beautiful.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think honestly, this is why I think Garfield likes, because they keep making fun of like his thing for Ram.
Mhm.
I think this is why he likes her, because she doesn't mince words.
Yeah.
She just kind of says it. Like there's some snark and some sarcasm there, but it's mostly because like she doesn't say the expected niceties.
Yeah, because basically, I feel like the relationship between Garfield and Rom is Rom says something snarky, and Garfield's just like, "Oh, what was that? You want to catch these hands? I'll fuck you up." And then like Rom's like, "Yeah, try it." Fuck.
She calls him on his bluff.
Yeah.
I have a question. Maybe this is something that I just overlooked or didn't hear properly, or whatever. Earlier when they were in the bedroom, when it was Garf and Subaru and the two little pinky girls, the Elfie babbies, Garf made a comment and he said the word lovers, and it went right over my head. Who was he speaking about in that moment? Was he saying Garf and one of the Pinky babies is heckin' lovers, or is it him and Ram?
Yeah, that was. I had a question about that too, actually.
Yeah, so that actually happened back in Garfield wasn't there. They were talking about Garfield. It was just Subaru and the two Ryuzus. And yeah, it definitely implied that that Ryuzu was there to serve the apostles of greed in any way.
So she was saying that she was a lover of Garf, not that Ram was, or that Subaru was because the way she said it, I was like confused. So what is it implying?
It was the exact. Can I just read? I got it up on that. So the exact quote is, she says, "Young Gar certainly would have something to say if he knew that a relative of his was meeting with his lover."
So we're talking about Garf's lover, okay? And Subaru would, I guess,
a relative of Garf. That's what she's saying. It's like a relative of Garf was meeting with his lover, and I don't. Who is the relative? The only relative we know of Garf is Frederica, right?
Unless they're referring to the fact that Subaru and Garf are kin in being apostles of greed.
I think that's what it probably is.
That seems so likely.
Which means, but in that context, was Subaru meeting with what are the fucking pink ones' names again? Ryuzu. I keep forgetting their names. They're just pink babby elves. So Ryuzu. So is she referring to the fact that she is a lover to Garf?
Definitely seems that way.
I think that's because Subaru's comment, he says that was incredibly mean about her comment. Plus, it would make me incredibly sinful. So I think you're right. I think it's implying that he is the relative.
Yes.
And he's like meeting in secret with Ryuzu, who I guess is a lover to Garfield. So that's exciting.
Well, all right. Okay, I wanted to clear that up because it was in my mind, but I was like.
So here's the interesting question: isn't Garf also have a thing for Rom?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Gals, that's up.
here's the thing though. I have to wonder how much Ryuzu is embellishing there, because Ryuzu, I think later in the conversation, pretty much offers herself up in the same way to Subaru.
Yeah,
and he's
I
like,
think it's a joke.
No. He's like, no, I'm not about that, fam. So I wonder if Ryuzu's like, oh yes, that is one of the services that I provide to Garfield, but like Garfield is like, no, I don't take that service.
I don't think he actually indulges in said service. I think that she may have offered it and it's become a joke.
Maybe.
Or at least I would hope so.
Hey, you know what? Let's be fair here. There is such a thing as friends with benefits, and friends
True.
with benefits is different from a full-blown relationship.
But she said lover.
That's
Well,
true.
lover
That also
just
could have been
means
part of the joke, is that
asexual
they're friends with
relationship.
benefits, but
Yeah.
they're
Because lover implies a lot of, like, love.
intimacy.
Yeah, maybe. It
Yeah,
depends
I
on
don't think it's
depends
just
on
dick
how you
sucking
use the word. I
if
feel
she's
like.
throwing out the word lover. I mean,
I mean, her comment to Subaru is like, to do as you please, I cannot defy you. Should you need a Garfield ward or a hug pillow?
that was actually fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think she was screwing with Subaru a bit.
Figuratively, not
Okay,
literally.
okay.
Yeah, figuratively.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all my comments on the episode.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was like, did I read that right? I don't. Huh.
Right? I was like, yeah, I just skimmed past it, but it was lingering for sure.
So, there's one last scene that we have to talk about, because
Of
obviously
course.
Garfield lets Subaru go.
Mhm.
And Subaru arrives back at the mansion, and he sends Frederica and Petra to the village for safety.
Yes, I was right. They did get back to the mansion.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do. Yeah, they do. They do go back to the
I
mansion.
remembered that. Yes.
And look, people can come after me all they want. This little baby crush that Petra has on Subaru is fucking adorable. All right.
It depends on where they go with it, but as long as
Subaru
it
only
stays
has
in...
eyes for Amelia. We know this.
He ain't no
I
pet.
know
Also, he
this,
keeps.
but-
Also, he multiple times he tells Amelia, "Pay no attention to her. She's just a kid." So clearly, he doesn't see her that way.
But she wants to, but
I
hopefully
get
that
it.
will change.
I get that, but like at the same time, as much as this show subverts the whole harem anime thing, it also kind of falls along similar lines in a lot of ways.
No, I agree.
It leaves that door open, and I want them to more definitively
Close it.
I don't have to close the door, but they have to at least tell us what it's a door of.
But yeah, no, they get back to the castle, the palace.
It's heckin' adorable. You can't change my mind.
Damn.
Okay. If they showed us the adorable date, and it's an adorable little, and he like pats her on the head or whatever, and it's cute, and it's a nice little scene, I'll agree with you.
Hell yeah. Well, what happened after that?
So what happened after that is after he sends Frederica and Petra away, he meets with Beatrice, and the episode ends on him meeting Beatrice, and Beatrice has a line where Subaru arrives, and Beatrice says, "It's all quite ironic either way, I suppose. The end of a contract that lasted a long, long time. By bringing an end to the end of the end, I will truly be set free this time. Of course, the fact that it has to be with you makes it an ending far too ironic for me, I suppose." And that's what the episode leaves off on.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like, that's the last frame.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what does any of that mean? Why is it ironic?
So, yeah, it's also, like, it's really interesting seeing, like, that he arrives and Beatrice already seems to know what's up. Which is really interesting, and I kind of want to know that. I want to see if, like, because, like, we've already had it confirmed that Rosewall knows about Return by Death. So maybe, does Beatrice know too, and she's just been pretending this entire time, like Rosewall?
If she's got the other truth-telling book,
yeah,
she may not know the exact mechanism by which Subaru returns by death, but the whole point, I think, is that the question he's supposed to ask her, right, or something like, he's supposed to tell her, like, I'm the one or something, or
I am that person.
I'm that person, right? Like, clearly her book is talking about somebody who changes history, who changes destiny, who bends fate to his will through some sort of mechanism that maybe the book doesn't actually explicitly say, because Rosewall does seem to be, like, piecing this together.
Yeah.
But the book is clearly preordained Subaru's arrival and purpose, and so now she's just like dropping all pretenses and like, oh yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
bringing an end to the end of the end, which is maybe more ends than was needed, but
we have no idea what those ends refer to.
Well, I mean, so bringing an end to the end of the end. So implying that it's already at the end, but we're at like the end of the end, and we're bringing an end to the end of the end.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that for us plebeians.
So much.
In the end, there's an end, and then the end ended the end of the end.
I hate it.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. It makes perfect sense to me. No,
I'm so distraught.
Get bent,
It
Brian.
kind of makes sense a little bit. What she's saying basically is that we're halting the last segment of the end of the book.
Correct. Yes, like we are finishing the last segment of the end of the book. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after this, it seems the book doesn't have any more that's written. I think weren't they saying, was it a kidnap? I don't remember. Somebody was saying that I think they were referring to Amelia when they said that there's someone who the book doesn't predict. Like there's somebody, maybe they were referring to Subaru, but I don't remember who said it, but I think they were referring to Amelia when they were like, there's someone who isn't written in the history of this book, and that they're the wild card, basically. They can alter destiny in a way that the book doesn't predict because the book doesn't know that they exist or something like that. And I think the implication was that Subaru, who is in the book, who's described as, we presume, this, like alter of fate, it's his job to guide basically Amelia to whatever it is that she's going to do, right? Because she's the wild card.
See, you're just supporting my theory that Amelia was the main character all along.
But I mean, look at the poster. She's in front of Subaru.
Right? Fucking standing behind her, supporting her.
We've been lied to all along. She was the protagonist.
Oh, I knew it. Well, hell yeah, dudes.
Well,
so we're at the end of the episode.
Yeah, so anybody have any predictions for next week?
I have a theory.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, we got a peek at what the witch looks like during the last couple episodes.
Correct.
She does look a lot like Amelia.
Yep.
Here's a deep cut theory that I'm sure has a hole or two. What if Amelia does become the Witch of Greed?
See, are the Witch of Greed or the Witch of Envy?
The Witch of Envy, excuse me.
See, I like where you're going, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Because I always found it really interesting that, because like, even earlier on in this season, Amelia says like, I don't want to hide anything from you, but I don't, she had something where she's like, I don't want to hide anything from you, but like, I don't really know how to say what I want to say. And Subaru is like, that's fine. Like, you take your time. Like, I trust you. Right. And I keep thinking back to the fact that the very first time, in the very first timeline, when they met, she introduced herself as Satella.
Yep.
I keep thinking back to that. And, like, and at the time, it's passed off as, like, oh, she was just trying to, like, get Subaru to be scared and leave, right? And it didn't work, and so she was really surprised by that. But I keep feeling like there was more to that.
I almost feel like there has to be after a rewatch.
Well, and there's also Mother's Basement did a really, really great breakdown of the first ReZero OP. And one of the things that I've never been able to forget since he pointed it out is that there is a bit, you know, that bit where, like, in the first opening where Subaru and Amelia are like standing like opposite each other, and they're like both like, I guess, like standing in front of each other and reaching out to each other, and there's like a big like kind of yellowish orange background. Do you know the
Yeah, I
shot that
think
I'm
so.
talking about? Yeah. Mother's Basement pointed out that in that shot, Emilia's shadow is backwards.
Ooh.
Mm.
So something's going on with Emilia that isn't good. And
Yeah.
I can't help but feel like, yeah, it's got something to do with the Witch of Envy, whether or not like she actually is the Witch of Envy, or
Becomes
she
the Witch of Envy.
becomes the Witch of Envy, or I don't know.
Well, we literally saw this episode. Like she does in that timeline, she does become the Witch of Envy. Basically,
Yeah,
the Witch
it's
of
heavily
Envy.
implied that that's what happens. Yeah.
Whether the Witch of Envy like possesses her body in it, oh, you know, it's maybe similar to the experiments that Echidna was doing with Ryuzu, trying to put her soul in another person's body. Maybe Echidna failed at that particular experiment, but maybe the Witch of Envy learned a little thing or two and figured out how to do it for real.
And here's the next step. I think that at the time when the Witch of Envy takes over her body, the one thing that persists in her mind at that time is her love for Subaru at that moment. And that's where the delusion could possibly take place when he eventually will die. And perhaps she is just living through his life from the moment that she pulls him in and just watching and just making sure that he gets back to that point, and it's just a loop, an eternal, never-ending loop.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That fits in well with my theory. I think I talked about last podcast was like who brought him into this world, right? We see him in the episode with his parents, right, where he's like in the dream, goodness, like dream world, talking to his parents, right? We see like someone reached across the boundary of the world and talked to him, right? Like he sees Emilia, right? She's like reflected in his eye and all that, like that really cool shot, and that's what sort of spurs him to start going, or to start like trying to pick up his life again, and then he gets sucked into an alternate dimension. But like that was like that moment where he was like, hey, somebody cares about me, and I was like, yeah, but Emilia doesn't have the power to reach across worlds. The only person that we've seen with that power is the witch.
Yeah.
So maybe he saw Emilia talking to him, but really it was the witch. And if they're kind of the same person, or Emilia is an avatar for or some reincarnation of the witch, it doesn't have to be like, oh, it's one or the other. If they're the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Well,
that's my creepy theory.
I like that, Ian. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my prediction for the next episode is that we're gonna get more Best Girl Beatrice.
Of course, and that
She
question.
better.
Yeah, and that question's gonna get asked.
Give us the fucking question!
That question's gonna get asked, and I feel like maybe it's a little too much to hope for, but I feel like we're gonna get some answers next episode, as well as double or triple more questions.
Always, that's how the show works.
Look,
Yeah.
if we came out with fewer questions than answers, we did not watch the show properly.
It was not a ReZero episode. Well,
Of course.
okay. I went on to Crunchyroll. I'm just like looking at the. Did anyone notice? So the poster for this season on Crunchyroll has Echidna holding the crystal with Ryuzu in it.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of our main characters' faces reflected in that. And then behind her are a bunch of anime girls we haven't seen. Some of them are the other witches. Mm-hmm. And there's like 6 of them in the background plus Echidna. So we've been looking at the witches this whole, like those are the witches in the background of the poster.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen all of them yet, but
we will.
So my prediction, we're going to see them this season.
Let's see what. Oh yeah, there are 2 witches up there that we haven't met. It seems
3 of them. There's one in Shadow too.
And then there's one in Shadow that we.
Who is kind of, I think one of the ones when she's first describing the witches, one of them is kind of like hidden from view. I don't really remember which one, but
Well, okay. I mean, how many witches are there? Right, there's 7.
Yeah.
7 deadly
So
sins, 7
would
witches.
that? So wouldn't that be
Mm.
Satella up there in the top right?
oh, yeah, that. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That would be why her face is hidden, because
Yeah.
spoilers, she looks a lot like one of the people stuck in the crystal in this shot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. At some point, maybe next episode, I really want to talk about the ending because the whole imagery with the butterfly I find really interesting.
Yeah, what does the butterfly represent?
Yeah.
Because we saw the door that he unlocked to get into the crystal room, right? Had a butterfly wing on it.
Yeah.
Like implying it was a kid in his, like this is her like signature or whatever, her emblem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm real. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm real excited. Anybody else got any more predictions?
Nope.
Not
No.
at this time.
All right. Well, in that case, I think we did a podcast, guys.
Did
I
we?
think we did.
Did we live?
I think we lived.
With
We-
nary a technical difficulty.
Yeah, it was a good. It was a good podcast. Now, we are nearing the end of the core, and we are also nearing the beginning of next season. So, for anybody in the chat, in the comments, watching after the fact, my God, my throat. Let me know, or let us know, what you guys are going to be watching next season and what you might be interested in hearing us follow and talk about, because we're starting to get to that time where we have to start thinking about what we're going to follow next, because ReZero is almost done, guys.
Don't say it.
Yeah,
Don't
how
say
many
it.
more episodes do we have? Do we know?
I think there's 3 more episodes in this core. I think like it's still, I think there's like 24, 25 episodes in season 2, but they're like doing a mid-season break. So, we've only got a few more episodes left, like 2 or 3, I think.
So we can expect 12, 13 episodes. Okay.
Also, won't we only be able to cover it for maybe a few weeks before we have RWBY starting up again?
I don't know that RWBY has. I don't know that a release date for RWBY has been announced yet. Aren't they doing the online RTX thing soon? I would imagine they'd probably announce it there.
Yeah, maybe they will.
Probably.
So maybe we'll be able to make a decision based on that.
Yeah.
It is
Good to
possible
know.
it's been delayed. But
I mean,
Yeah, it
wouldn't
is possible.
surprise anybody here, I'm sure.
For sure. I hope people
Yeah.
go to that because, support RTX.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Brian. You can find me on Twitter at Hubbard Audio. I'm also in the KRWBY server. I'm here on the KRWBY YouTube channel. You can find me in those places. Hey, Ian, where can they find you?
You can find me on the KRWBY Discord server, lurking away, as it were.
Hell yeah. Forrest, where can they find you?
They can find me right here on this podcast next week. That's where I live.
Sweet. And Katie, where can they find you?
I said some stuff in the beginning, but one of the main places you can find me is Connie Day Official on Twitter, KANIDAY Official. And actually, as we're speaking, I'd like to make an announcement. The Schmuck Squad just posted on Twitter tagging myself and Brian. We're going to be in a little thing called Demon Slayer Abridged.
Yeah. Yup. We are. We got,
What?
yeah. They just posted that, did they? Hell yeah.
if
We
you
can
look on my
finally
Twitter
talk
right
about
now-
it.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
look on our Twitters, I'm retweeting it right now. I'm going to be playing Makamo. And Brian, do you want to tell them who you're going to be
Yeah,
playing?
I'm gonna
'Cause
be
they
playing the.
posted it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing the Temple Demon
Yeah.
in their new Demon Slayer Abridged. I'm super excited.
Oh,
Never had the opportunity.
damn.
Never had the opportunity to work with the Schmuck Squad
you.
before. Really, really excited to do it.
Yeah, we're going to be recording with them soon, and they wanted to make
recording with them
like
soon.
some public announcements, and they just
Yeah.
did.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, man, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so please follow the Schmuck Squad and follow us on Twitter because we have other announcements that we might make in the future. Because I'm also doing work with other people too that I want to announce when I can.
Hell yeah. So, also, RC, I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry. we're gonna talk about the Higurashi remake. Don't you worry about it. I mean, probably, I don't think we're gonna follow that as a group because I don't want to do that to Katie. But
do it to Katie.
Don't you do it.
But yeah, I'm definitely gonna say something about Higurashi. Don't you worry.
Well, all right. I think
All
we
right.
made a podcast, dudes.
Yeah, we did it. Thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.